Philly to Philly, Albuquerque to Chat-Town. I got the crowd yelling, bring 'em out, bring 'em out.
What's up, Toronto? How are you guys? So, everyone's doing good? So, first off, thank you guys for having me here. I'm super excited, but I'm sure some of you guys are wondering why a 17-year-old senior in high school, I think it said junior, but senior in high school is standing here in front of you guys. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of a backstory. So ever since I was 9 years old, I've dealt with anxiety, panic attacks, even to the point where I didn't want to go to school for a full day. So if any of you could imagine a kid that wouldn't even stay over at his grandparents' house, wouldn't sleep out, was the kid that got picked up at 11:50 at night from a friend's house, that was me. And really what that led to was, that was from when I was 9 all the way through last year to when I was 16. And the main reason I'm telling you this is because if you told me or my family a year ago that I would be standing here, I'm sure they'd be just as shocked as I was. But what happened since then, here's a little bit on what's happened since then. So I started a podcast a year ago, exactly 11 months ago today. And the goal of the podcast, it was called 20 Under 20s, was to help educate and inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs and leaders. So I didn't have anyone to interview. As I'm sure many of you know, if you're 16 or 17 and you reach out to a bunch of people saying, will you talk to me and come on my podcast? Most likely the answer is no. So I just cold emailed. And that's what I'm trying to portray to you guys. If I can do and start a podcast in under 11 months, any of you guys can do the same. So I started cold emailing. I sent around 350 cold emails a day, every day for 4 months to get people on my show. Thank you. And the reason I tell you that is because there's nothing preventing any of you from sending cold emails. There's nothing preventing you from going for it. It's just that 99% of the time, you think you have the idea, and then that's where it ends. And you need to be that 1% that says, I like this idea, and why don't I try it out? There's nothing to lose. So I started the podcast, I built that up. I've gotten people like Gary Vaynerchuk on, to people like Grant Cardone. Gary, I just saw him backstage. I'm sure he's excited to come out here for you guys. But here's what's happened since then, and here's what, if it can happen to me, any of you can do it. So here's the podcast, 20 Under 20s, and it's gotten over 100,000 downloads in exactly 11 months since it launched on March 27th, 2017. Thank you. Also, I've been able to meet some of my idols, so people like Gary, Mariano Rivera, Gary on his Daily V, Derek Jeter, and a variety of people. And the reason I'm saying this is because I was a 16-year-old normal kid who was taking an entrepreneurship class in high school and thought, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur when I grow up. But there was nothing preventing me, and there's nothing preventing any of you from doing the same. So I started doing it, and it led to all this stuff. So you have to have that mindset, I want to go meet this person. I want to do it myself. And that's what I did, and that's the same pathway any of you can follow. Also, Business Insider, HuffPost, and there's nothing holding you back from doing press either. I'd always read these magazines, Entrepreneur Magazine, and to be able to be in it myself was so rewarding. It led to an internship, and that's one thing I'll be hitting on hard, is that you're never too good to take a job, never too good to take an internship, and never too good to keep learning. So I took an internship for 5 months ever since August, and it went through December, and I didn't think I was too good. Oh, I'm doing this podcast, why do I have to learn? So taking the podcast and doing that was great, and while I kept running it, I took this internship, and I think every single person here, who's under 30? Who's under 20? All right, we got some people. I think any of you guys should go take a job, take an internship, and continue your education. For me, that was the biggest thing. I learned so much that I would have never, ever learned just from doing it myself. I learned what happens inside a company, the actual dynamics in a company, chemistry, all of that stuff, and I think everyone should try and do that and find a mentor. I've been able to grow my Instagram page up to 25,000 followers, and I think that's huge right now. In the time we live in, social is massive. So building up your social, really just putting out content. You just need to commit to it. So for me, the podcast and that tie in perfect, and I think any of you can do that. For any of you, who has a phone here?
I got one.
All right, good, everyone has one. So any of you have the ability, this thing right here can change your life. If you look at the kid who did the selfie video, or the selfie picture of Justin Timberlake in the Super Bowl, I'm sure some of you saw that, but he has 250,000 followers on Instagram right now. And today's February 27th. I think that was February 5th. So in 2 weeks, this kid went from being a 12-year-old kid with braces at school, you know, a normal middle schooler, and now he's on Ellen, Oprah's show, he's on Good Morning America. This can change your life. So all of you, instead of being afraid of it, you want to use it. It led to starting my own business too. So I do consulting, and it's crazy to think that if a year ago I was a 16-year-old kid. Now I'm 17, not a big difference there. But also, like, I can go up from I did the internship for $10 an hour. I did minimum wage. And I thought it was an amazing experience, but you need to do that and learn as much as you can to get where you are now. And I have so much more learning to do. I'm right at the beginning of where I want to be. I don't think I've done anything. But you can go and charge, like, I have clients that will pay over $2,000 a month, and any of you can do that. Especially you guys here, you're taking the first step. You're here. You want to learn, and you just got to keep educating yourself. So it really comes down to 3 main tips for me that I would recommend all of you guys follow. The first thing, for all of you guys under 30 and even older than that, I would leverage your youth. So for me, what that meant was when I started cold emailing people, sending 350 cold emails, first off, is a lot, as I'm sure many of you know. And changing the subject line in an email from just podcast interview to 16-year-old podcaster increased my open rate from 20% to 95%. So any of you can find your unique ability. My unique thing was 16. That was my big thing. Any of you can be like, I'm the first podcast started by XYZ. I have a vlog. But you have to find that unique, distinct factor about yourself. The second thing is to show your expertise and find a vehicle to push it out. So for me, I love communication, as you can tell. And pushing it out through a podcast, speaking was natural. If you're really good at video, look at the Paul brothers. They've created an 8 to 9 figure net worth, and they're 22 from putting funny videos on YouTube. Any of you can push stuff out through a newsletter, a blog, a vlog, a podcast. There's so many options. All of it comes back to this. And the last piece of advice I'd give is stay humble. So take an internship, take a job. No matter how much you think you know and how much you've experienced, you're right at the beginning of your journey. So that's why I took the internship. That's why I think everyone here should work. If you look at the stats, I think it was up before, 75% of entrepreneurs worked for 6 years, I think. And that's huge. Like, you get the distinct stuff inside of a company, what it's like, and you're never too good for it. Always educate yourself. I plan on going to college next year. I'm a 17-year-old senior in high school. And I really think the key thing is, don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to find a mentor. I think that's the biggest thing for me. So I'm going to be here the rest of the day. I'll be here, I think I leave tomorrow morning, but I'm around always. I'd love to help any of you out because I was in that same position. If there's anyone here struggling with something, I was the top of struggling. I literally did not want to leave my house, did not want to go to school. Everything was tough for me. So if I can do it, trust me, there's nothing special about me. I just decided to go for it. Any of you can do that. Here's the link to the podcast, my social links. Feel free. I respond to all my messages. There's my email right there. But really, I think what it comes down to is just go for it. Don't wait. Start today. And I think that's what I'll close with. Thanks so much, guys.